Alex, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you? Yeah,
Good, good.
me out yesterday.
No, no problem, no problem. So I'm shifting to English, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I was just telling your mom, Priscilla. She was asking how is the culture here because, women needs to be one side, men needs to be another, everything. And I was telling her when we were about to move here to Dubai that people would say that me and my wife we couldn't hold hands, that we couldn't show affection, and she would have to wear clothes like covering the whole body. So in the first 2 days that we were here, me and my wife look like strangers, right? I'm walking in one side, she's walking in the other. And then we start looking around, women dressing just like they dress in Miami, short skirts, short shorts, and men and women walking, holding hands. So here in Dubai, it's a very mixed community. So it's not fully Islamic like you see in Iran, like you can see in other more conservative Islamic states. Dubai is very open to the world, and that's why Dubai grew, right? Some people sometimes ask me what is best to invest in Dubai or, for instance, in Saudi Arabia. And the thing that I tell them and make it pretty easy to understand is Dubai, knowing that they wanted to grow and not dependent on oil, opened themselves to the world and said, come the way that you are because we accept you. And Saudi Arabia is doing the opposite. It's doing like, you want to invest here, you need to adapt to us. So Dubai is pretty much, you won't feel any difference living in Miami and living in Dubai because the culture is very similar. So you can be very okay with that. I show that on my content on social media, and you can see people are normal people here. 95% of the population of Dubai is made of foreigners. Only 5% are local. So they are used to having people from all over the world. So they are very happy and very welcoming with everybody.
Very good.
Yeah.
Ask him what is
What? Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Are you more into real estate, like sales, brokerage? Are you like tell us a little bit about you, so like
Perfect.
And your experience? Yes.
Perfect. I'm going to go a little bit further, but I won't take a long time. My background is finance. I graduated in college back in Brazil in economics. That was my major. And then I got a master's degree in investment management, and I worked with that in Brazil for 12 years. And I was structuring in Brazil real estate deals, real estate funds. And in 2014, a developer in Brazil wanted to start develop in Miami, and they asked me to help them to do that, to structure a private fund to bring investors to the US. And that's how I went to the US, and that's how I got in real estate in the US. So we built a building in Bay Harbor. We did a renovation also of a multifamily in Bay Harbor with 20 units. And then we start building houses. We built a house in Lighthouse Point, a housing in Hollywood on the water. And then after COVID, the luxury market got too busy in Miami. I started developing more like affordable homes in Central Florida, Ocala, Lehigh Acres, and La Belle. I got into brokerage, Alex, because around 2017, 2018, a lot of investors from Brazil were reaching out to me to invest in construction. But as I know from my 2 conversations with Priscilla, I understand that you also develop and you guys also build houses and renovate houses. Not every investor is ready for the risk of construction, right? So a lot of the investors would come to talk to me, but in the end of the day, what they wanted was to buy a property, buy an off-plan property, a pre-construction. So at some point I was sharing those leads, those clients with brokers. But in the end of the day, is an investment. My background is investment. I'm helping them to invest. So I took my license and I started helping them also. So in Florida, where I'm also a registered real estate agent, I would say that 95% of my business in Florida, I still have a company there, is building houses for developers. Today I'm mostly in Central Florida, and just 5% is on brokerage in Dubai, in Miami. And here in Dubai, I'm acting more as a broker, helping people to invest, especially from Brazil and the US. Also using my background in finance and in construction to really identify what is a good building, what is a good developer, where is good to buy, where is good to invest, and helping them in the same way. Here in Dubai is very good. It's a very good moment to do renovation, especially on the older neighborhood, because the best neighborhoods here in Dubai are from 20 years ago. So now I'm seeing investors coming also. So I'm acting not as a developer, but mostly as a consultant with them, helping developers and investors also to buy properties to renovate and resell. So on a nutshell, basically that's my background. And if you want to ask any questions, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, perfect. So of course you probably work with a lot of local Dubai law firms or title companies or equivalents that typically do these kinds of real estate transactions. So you'll connect us with a few that are reputable and have the ability to close rather quickly and can handle the transaction as we need, right?
Yes. So basically on this process, as I briefly explained yesterday, here we don't have a title company as we call in the US. We have a trustee office, because in the US, the title company actually is the one who handle everything, and in the end of the day, they process the title, right? The county issues the title, but it's the title company who process it. Here we have the trustee office who handles all the bureaucracy of the transaction, receiving the money from the buyer, getting the documentation from the seller. But in the end of the day, the trustee office get all this information, all these checks. Here we work a lot with checks from the buyer especially. And then at the day of the closing, we go to the office of the Dubai Land Department, who acts as the title company in Miami to actually do the closing. It's as if, Alex, you would do the whole process with a title company, but the last step you would have to go to the county directly to get the title, right? So the title company, and on this part, the buyer and the seller or their power of attorney, they go to the Dubai Land Department, and the Dubai Land Department check all the documents from the seller and the buyer, and if everything is done, everybody got paid correctly, then they issue the title in your name. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's very secure.
So I actually like that. That sounds more secure to me than the Dubai Land Department, which is, I assume it's a government office, right?
Correct.
Government office. So it seems more secure that they are the ones that handle the disbursement of funds and the transfer of title, as opposed to a random title agent like in the U.S. It could be anybody, right?
Correct.
So I actually like that. That's helpful. I'm glad you told me that. Tell me a little bit more about the trust. Who would be the power of attorney? Tell me more about that individual that would be the power of attorney that would kind of.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
We usually have a couple of trustee offices that we recommend to our clients. There's one that I like to work the most because they are the fastest one. It's called Escrow Made Easy. And basically they act as your power of attorney. So you're going to sign a document where they have the power of attorney to issue a check to buy a property towards a seller, right? So you are going to send the money to them, and they are, just like in the US, they also need a special authorization from the government to do that. So it's not just a guy who opened a bank account and you are going to deposit the money on their bank account. They have a license, they are registered by the financial authorities here from Dubai to do that. And you send the money to them, and they are going to issue Here we call manager checks, but it's just like the cashier check from the US, where the check already disbursed the money and the check is nominal to the seller, but this check is only going to be given to the seller at the day of closing at the Dubai Land Department office. So we all go together, and there the guy from the Dubai Land Department gets all the documentation, the checks, okay, everything is here, the seller is here, the buyer is here, halas, one pay the other, and here's your title. The title is issued electronically, there's a QR code, it's registered. It's not like in Miami, you close the deal, and then they send the documentation to the county, and maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, you receive the title. Here in Dubai, you receive the title at the spot. You leave with the title in your hands or in your phone because everything is electronic.
Can we put under a business?
Well, can we put the title under a business instead of a personal name?
Yeah. You can put the title under a business. Yeah.
Does it have to be a local Dubai company, or can it be?
That yes. The name of the owner of the property needs to be here. So either a company or a person. You can. If you want to expedite the process, you can put on your name and then open the company and change it. The company here, Alex, also you can open a company here rather fast. Like in 3 or 4 days, the company is open. So that's not an issue. That's very, very easy. So you can do that. And this company can be owned by a foreign entity. There's a little bit more process on that, but it can be done. But if you want to expedite the process, you can buy on your name and then change it. The cost of changing is 0.4%, so it's not a lot of money to save time. And the cost to open a company, you're going to spend about 16,000 dirhams, going to be around $5,000, not more than that.
Okay. One second. Did you want to ask about if we can do without the escrow, the direct transfer, like without this power of attorney individual company, or is it mandatory to use this power of attorney escrow agent company, or can we buy a property? Buy a property with you and then basically send the money direct from the USA to either the seller in Dubai or the land department. It would be the Dubai Land Department, so that it doesn't have to go through this power of attorney firm. You see, it just go direct to the seller.
He's just concerned
I'm concerned because I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know the person, the power of attorney person. I understand they're registered, they're bonded, whatever, but I mean, it's overseas transactions. I don't know the person, so that's why I'm asking.
To be honest, I'm not going to say it is not possible. It is. But as a recommendation, I wouldn't recommend you to do that, because the Dubai Land Department doesn't receive any money. He just receives the checks from the seller, from the buyer, and gives to the seller, right? So different from the US, the money doesn't go through the Dubai Land Department as a title company to send to another person, right? You just issue the check in their name, in the seller name, and the Dubai Land Department is going to give them the check, right? So you cannot go through the Dubai Land Department. The other option, which I don't recommend, is sending the money directly to the seller. And you would have to do that prior to closing, because at closing, the funds need to be there, right? So we, Priscilla, if Priscilla or Isilda already transacted business in Brazil to buy property, that's how we do in Brazil, right? It's always a fight, because who trusts who, right? Do I trust you to send the money, or you trust me to send the title? So it's always that. So I can inquire that for you. I never saw anybody sending directly to the seller, because usually we're talking about big amount of money. It wouldn't be the most secure way. Any documentation that you need to show that this company or these companies are legit, whatever you need, we can work on getting you that documentation. But that would be my recommendation, not send directly to the seller, send to someone.
Right. So yeah, that would be, I mean, basically, if you give me the name of this escrow agent, title company, I can certainly do my research as well. I can see how they're, of course, how they're registered, qualified. That'll help a lot, of course, and I could see what their background is in terms of deals, closed in last year. The other idea, just thinking out loud, you said that it's usually checks, almost like cashier's checks, right?
Correct.
So what if, for example, I were to obtain cashier's checks from my bank in the USA, bring them to closing, and physically, hand them these checks, and and that process, I know it would take a few weeks for the checks to clear, but upon clearance, that's when they would transfer the deed. They're just thinking out loud, if we're talking checks, maybe cashier's checks like that. I don't know.
Yeah, again, I never had that situation. That one, I don't think is possible to get a check from the US because I don't know how the compensation was going to be, but I will inquire that for you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so we're happy to proceed. Now, in terms of the real estate that we're looking to buy, I guess Priscilla can tell you a little bit more about the type of housing, whether it's, you told them already. So it's got to be an area that has, Americans, Brazilians, we want to live in an area we can fit in, of course. It's got to be an area that has nice, for families, because we have 3 children, so we want to have a nice house, maybe with a pool, and, Now, the other thing for me that's important, because I always kind of have the business mindset, is liquidity, right? So if for some reason, let's say we do this transaction, we move to Dubai, we buy the property, 6 months from now we decide, you know what, we really don't like it so much here, we want to go to Spain, or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to be able to have liquidity to sell that house. I don't want to keep it there. So I would obviously work with you to put it on the market and sell it, but it has to be in an area that has transactions. So I need to see comps. I need to see, last 6 months, last year, how many properties sold there, that there's activity. I don't want to be stuck there with this property in a country, that I'm new to. If for some reason we want to move, we want you to sell it 6 months from now. You understand?
Yeah, I understand. Just, and whatever properties I show you, if you like the kind of property or the neighborhood, and I can get reports that for you. But just to give you one idea, in the first 6 months of this year, in terms of number of transactions, Dubai, just on apartments, Dubai transacts around 4,000 apartments per month on the resale market. Just to put into perspective, in Miami, it's about 900 transactions per month. So in Miami, you have 900 transactions only in apartments, and Dubai, you have 4,000. In terms of volume, in the first 6 months of this year in Miami, we're more or less 800 million per month, and in Dubai is about $1.8 million per month in transactions. So liquidity, of course, I'm talking the whole Dubai. It's not like Dubai is much bigger than Miami in area. We have more or less the same population, 3.6 million people living here. But in terms of transactions and volume, Dubai is much more liquid than Miami. But we're not talking about the market. We are going to talk about one property in one neighborhood. And of course, I can give you all the information. And knowing that profile that you guys have, I would, of course, suggest neighborhoods that are desirable for people. There are people that there are more in common with us.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's wonderful, yeah.
How is like the rental, like if we want to keep the property there, like
Rent it out to somebody else.
like percentage?
That's
What's the yield?
Yeah, that's a very good question. On the residential side, for long-term rentals, it's going to be between 7 and 9%, like stretching very, very hard on the 9%, but usually is around 7%. On the commercial properties like office, we can get 11, 12, but on the residential is going to be between 7 and 9%. Now, one thing that is different here two things that are different here in Dubai than in Miami is, number one, if in the event that you guys decide to move out and you want to rent in short-term rentals, it's much easier than Miami. We don't have all the restrictions that Miami has, where the city might not allow, or the condominium laws might not allow. Here, basically, the government says that it's your property, you do whatever you want with them. You need to register at the Dubai Tourism and Commerce Department to rent your property on short-term rentals, but it's much easier than in the US. So that's the first difference. The second difference, Alex and Priscilla, is that if you do a long-term rental, just like I was explaining yesterday, that when you buy a property, all the contracts are issued by the system of the Dubai Land Department. On a rental is the same thing. It's a contract that we call Ejari. And here in Dubai, different from Miami, the government is pro-tenant. What does that mean? The tenant has, I'm not going to say the first right of refusal, but you need to give notice to the tenant 1 year before if you want to kick them out. Right? Even if, Alex, you rented the property for 1 year, if it is the last day of your contract and you don't want to renew, they still have 1 year preference. So if it is your last day, you say, I'm not going to renew, they have the right to stay 1 more year in your property before they leave. Okay, so that's a big difference.
So we're not gonna rent that. No, I'm happy you told me. So we're actually gonna live there, but we're not gonna rent it out to any tenant.
But that's only on the long term. If you decide to do a short term, then you don't have that problem, right? So even on the long term, what I tell my clients is instead of doing a 12-month contract, do an 11, because then you fall out of that rule. Okay, but that's the law. And to correct the rent, the government has a rental index, and you can only correct the rent based on that index, right? So it's not.
They don't take okay, it's a little going off the topic right now, but let's just.
Don't worry about that. That's not.
Yeah, no.
I'm curious what the international wire when you send it to this company, if it, there's any.
Yeah, how
So how does it send wire? So look, we're gonna buy a property, obviously $1 million US, maybe more. We want to wire the funds from the U.S. to this closing agent escrow. Are there any problems with the banks, the Dubai banks, asking what is this money for, source of funds, KYC, anything like that? You can tell us.
Yes, you are going to have to file KYC. It's a very simple document where basically you're going to say this money that I have, the procedures is because I sold another property, is because I have investment and whatever. Like at the first moment, you don't need the documentation to prove, but you're going to have to file the KYC during the purchase process just to state, okay, this money comes from my assets or whatever. Usually it takes, when you send a wire, takes 48 hours from the US to clear here. I do that often, my clients do, so they send on Monday, we are going to receive here, depending on the time that is done because of the time difference between Wednesday and Thursday. So this 48 hours is normal to take the money to show here. So if you have your bank account or if you're sending to someone, you're going to see the money getting out of your bank account, but it will take 2 days to show in the other one, but it's a wire, so you can track everything.
Understood. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that's very helpful. I like that. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So and a question that Priscilla asked me yesterday about the golden visa, right? So any property that you buy 2 million dirhams up. You have the right for the golden visa for the whole family, which includes the spouse, kids, and parents. So it goes sideways, downstream, and also upstream to the parents. So that's very.
That's good.
Mom can get it too.
And the
what's the equivalent? 2 million dirhams.
So 2 million dirhams is going to be just to get the. 2 million dirhams is going to be $545,000. $545,000. And the dirham is pegged to the dollar, so you don't need to be afraid, okay, I'm buying this property for 2 million dirhams and it's $500,000, and if I decide to sell and come back, now I have $400,000. So there is a parity between the two currencies, so you don't lose money on those transactions. which is each $1 is 3.67 dirhams more or less.
Amazing. I like that. That's very good that it's pegged to the dollar and I don't have to worry about losing money on currency.
Yeah, that's very important. I have a client that wants to sell, he's moving to Brazil. He wants to sell his property here to buy something that I said, don't do it because the currency there is weak, you're going to lose money at some point. So keep the property here and buy another one there.
Right.
I have a question. Do you think it's better rented to start if they like the place, they like the country, and after they can buy a house?
No, because Alex wants to invest something. It doesn't want to
That's a very good question. And if someone was asking me that question about Miami, I would say rent first, buy later, because the prices in Miami are stable. Here, just in the last 12 months, 220,000 people moved to Dubai, sorry. If you divide that by 4, which is the size of an average family, we are talking about 55,000 new properties that needs to be delivered. Dubai today delivers around 46,000 property per year. So we have much more people coming than properties being delivered. So the prices are going up. So by the time you decide, you are going to lose money or need to pay more. So even if you decide to move later, whatever you buy today for $1 million, maybe in 1 year is going to be $1 million in 100. So you at least are making some money on that. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, definitely. Do you also work with Europe, properties in any countries in Europe?
Yes, we have. Yes, mostly in Portugal, in Spain, and in Greece. We have also people there, and in Italy we have some connections that can help also.
Yeah, Portugal. Yeah, so that's good. So maybe the second property we buy will be somewhere in Portugal or Spain. You know, specifically Malaga or Marbella, Spain. Those are 2 options I really would like to think about.
Yeah.
For a second property.
Yeah, that's the golden sun belt: Miami, Marbella, and Dubai. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
What about the pricing for like a nice house?
Yeah, give us some options.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so
my birthday is the 19th, like I said, so I would like to go there and already have
a place,
our place, you know, so we can.
And about the schools, Priscilla.
Oh, the schools, yeah.
Perfect.
International schools for children, of course, we need with an English language being the first language.
Yeah,
school.
perfect.
Yes.
Yes, I was explaining, Priscilla, I guess on the phone, a little bit different from the US. The public schools here are only for the Emiratis, from the locals. So all the foreigners need to pay for school. They are private, it is what it is. Here we have American school, we have British school. They are the 2 most desirable ones. Because here there's more Europeans than Americans, they value a little bit more the British schools. But every client that I have from America, I just helped the family move here a month ago. They put their kids on the American school. So we have very good American school here. The cost is going to be, and here you pay upfront per year. The cost will be per kid about 80,000 dirhams, more or less, depending on the grade. And so 80,000 dirhams is going to be like $20,000. More or less for the school year that you need to come up front. Yeah, on tuitions.
It's probably a better education. It's honestly probably a better education than the United States public school system. So I think it's actually a good idea for kids to have this private school kind of background. It's not anybody who's just going to be teaching and pay that. Yeah, it's got to be good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Before moving to the properties, any other question? And we can come back later just to those. But any other questions that are not property related?